All right. Okay. So it's been on my mind lately, and it probably stems from hearing a comment not too long ago from someone, honestly. But let's just have a chat about what it means to ask God for a sign. And people sometimes act like it means that you don't have enough faith. Right. You've probably heard it said, just trust God. Real faith doesn't need proof. If you have to ask, you're already doubting. Some people even call it testing God, like asking for confirmation is somehow, um, sorry, y'all, having tech difficulties. So work with me here. We're going to see how this shakes out. I got YouTube on one side and I got Facebook on the other, and we're just going to see how it goes. So, right, but like some people even say that like testing God, like asking for confirmation is somehow manipulative. Like you're trying to put God on the spot instead of just believing. And look, I get where that comes from, right? Nobody wants to reduce God to a vending machine where you say the magic words and he performs. But it's kind of a dangerous line to toe, and I think it's worth naming. And so here's what I don't think is true, that automatically, that asking is automatically doubting God. And um, it doesn't mean that it's weak. It wanting confirmation isn't weak. And so here's part of why I think that is the case, right? So there's this guy in the Bible, Gideon. God calls Gideon to lead an army to save his whole nation in the book of Judges. And Gideon, mighty warrior, that's literally what the angel calls him. Gideon says, okay, but I'm going to need some proof. So he lays out this fleece of wool on the ground overnight and says, God, if you're really going to do this through me, then let the dew fall on this fleece, but keep everything else dry. And it happens. And this is the part I kind of love, is Gideon comes back and says, like, don't be angry with me, but let me ask one more time. Reverse it, dry fleece, wet ground. And God does it again. And I think like it's important to note here that he doesn't rebuke Gideon. He doesn't say, I already told you, why are you asking again? Kind of like we do with our kids, like, hey, my answer is my answer. But God answers him both times. And so what I think this means is that a fleece, right? And I call it fleecing God. A fleece isn't a magic trick. It's not a formula where we get to say like the right words and ask the right things, and God is obligated to perform for us. And you can't do that with a stranger. Right? You can only do that with somebody who actually knows you, somebody that you actually know, somebody that you have like you're building a relationship with. And so Gideon could ask because he knew who he was talking to, and God answered because he was patient enough to meet Gideon exactly where his faith was and not where Gideon wished it was. And so when you're standing in front of something big, a decision, a job, a person, whatever it is, and you find yourself saying, God, can you just show me? That's not weak in faith. It's a real relationship. That's a relational faith. And that's you knowing him well enough to know that you can ask. How many times do we just don't ask? It's because we think it's too small or God's too big for that. And trusting enough for to wait for an answer. And so, I've done this myself. Actually, at youth camp, I asked God quietly during some prayer time. And I said, if there was something that he needed me to know, if there was a message he wanted me to get clearly, then he would send somebody to send me a prophetic word. And I didn't tell anybody that I prayed that to God. I just prayed, right? And said, hey, if you have a message for me, I will willingly accept it. I want it. But you're gonna have to send somebody to me. I'm not asking for a word. And somebody did. They sought me out at camp later that day in the cafeteria during a mealtime. And they came to me, right? And out of nowhere gave me a word and said, hey, like I saw you earlier, but you left. And so I wanted to find you again and share this word with you. And it was a great word. It was exciting and powerful. And that word is actually part of why you're watching me right now, right? That's a fleece. It's wet wool, dry ground. It's my ask just looked differently. And I wanted to know I wasn't making it up in my own head. And God didn't make me feel silly for asking. He just answered. And so, it's part of why you're going to start seeing me do some of these porch chats, if you will, or some of the videos that you're going to see dropping on Facebook. It's why I'm hosting the Amen Whole 4 program and why I'm stepping back into my life coaching. It's because God answered a fleece that I laid out quietly at youth camp. And I'm still walking out what he said. And I have a joy and a peace about it. Um, and even in that word, it said, you're going to feel hesitant. You're going to feel a little confused and not sure, but you need to do it. You need to do it. And so I'm doing it. Um, and here's the thing, the fleece is just the beginning of Gideon's story, and that's him before the battle, still needing the proof. There's another moment with him that I'm going to unpack with you later this week on Thursday. And so where he stops asking for a sign and starts becoming someone that he didn't recognize or even believe was in the cards for him. So come back, check that out. Follow me on YouTube. If you aren't already subscribed there, I will share it on Facebook as well. Hold the Line Ministry is where you'll see most of this drop first and fresh. And come back because it's not just Gideon's story, it could be yours too. Have an awesome day. Much love to you and yours, and wishing you all the blessings.